Okay, so today we're going to talk about angle pair relationships, more particular as lines contain transversals. Okay, and we just want to focus on certain angle measurements. So, are not angle measurements, but certain figures. Okay, so that's really what I want you guys to pay attention to. Okay, so right now we're going to draw a couple of lines, right? Okay, so I'm going to draw this line right here, and I'm going to draw this line right there. Okay, we got two lines. These are any two lines, and then in these two lines, I'm going to draw a line that intersects these two lines. And we're just going to draw it right there. This red line is called a transversal. Okay, when this line that intersects these other two lines is called a transversal. And you can have many different types of transversals, but this one's very particular, or this one's just cutting these two lines. So I'm going to go ahead and number these angle measures. Let's say that's angle 1, angle 2, angle 3, angle 4, angle 5, angle 6, angle 7, and angle 8. Okay, there are certain positions that we want to understand about these angles, and you got to focus on just the transversal. Okay, the red line is just a transversal. Now, can it be another line? Absolutely. But we want to focus predominantly on what this picture is, especially when it's asking you something. Okay, so let's focus on these angles right here. All of these angles that are in between the two lines that are intersected by the transversal. Those are in between. Notice they're in between the two lines. Let's call this line A and we'll call this line B. Okay, those two, all four of those angles are inside, right? So that's why we call those interior. Okay, and there's two sets of different type of interior angles. Okay, and one of them is alternate interior. Okay, let me go ahead and erase this real quick. Okay, there's alternate interior, and the word alternate means opposite sides, right? So opposite sides. So we know that this is the interior right here. Okay. You know what? I might have to just go backwards. Okay. All right. So we know these are our interiors, right? And alternate interior are AI. What I like to say, alternate interior means they're on opposite sides, right? And they're on the inside. Okay, that's what alternate interior means. So angles 3 and angle 6, they're on opposite sides, right? And they're on the inside. So we call those alternate interior angles. Okay, angles 5 and angles 4, those are inside, but they're on alternate sides. So we call our opposite sides, we call those alternate interior angles. That's the relationship with those two sets of angles. Now, to talk about the angles that are on the outside, right? We just kind of talked about the angles that are on the inside. Let's focus on these angles that are on the outside. Angles 1, 2, 7, and 8. Okay, these angles are on the outside. All right, and when we have angles on the outside, we call these exterior angles. Okay, exterior. Outside means exterior. Right, so outside. Okay. Okay, so angles 1 and 2, 7 and 8 are exterior angles. Again, we call those outside. So exterior angles. Now, there's different types of exterior angles. And really, we're just focusing on the one, and we call them alternate exterior angles. Okay, alternate exterior. And again, alternate means opposite, right? So opposite sides. So if we're focusing on this, angle 1 and angle 8 are what we would call alternate exterior angles. Angles 7 and angles 2 are also alternate exterior angles because they're on opposite sides and they're on the outside of the lines that's being cut by the transversal. Okay, so we got alternate exterior and we got alternate interior. All right, let me go ahead and clear this page real quick. Okay, because now I want to talk about just a little bit more particular about these angles. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, let's draw some more lines. Again, here are my two lines. No particular direction of these lines. Okay, and then just a transversal. Okay, so we talked about alternate interior. We talked about alternate exterior. Now let's talk about what happens when I have angles that are on the same side, right? Because there's two different types. Okay, the one thing that you want to talk about is the interior angles. Okay, that's another thing that we want to focus on is our interior angles. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, we focus on 3, 4, 5, and 6. Those are interior angles. But now we're thinking about the same side. Okay, so these angles right here, obviously these 4 angles are inside. They're interior angles. But there's something to be said about the angles that are on the inside. We call these angles consecutive interior angles. So angles 3 and 5 are consecutive interior angles. Angles 4 and 6 are another pair of consecutive interior angles. Okay, so those are on the same side and they're on the inside, right? Okay, so now that we talked about consecutive interior, now let's talk about uh, another position. So let's say, what if one's inside and what if one's outside, right? But they're on the same side. What about angle 1 and angle 5, right? Angle 1 and angle 5, right? Those are on the same side, but one's on the outside and one's on the inside. Well, the focus here is to focus on the point of intersection. Notice that this is the top left. This one right here is also the top left of the intersections. They're in the same position on the same side. We call these corresponding angles. Okay. I can't spell the rest. I'm going to run out of room. But those are called corresponding angles. Any angles that are on the same side in the same position are corresponding angles. So angles 1 and angle 5 are corresponding angles. Okay, so let's check this out. There's a whole bunch of pairs of corresponding angles here. Not just angles 1 and 5, but not only do we have corresponding angles 1 and 5, well, there's another sets. There's a whole bunch of sets. What about angles 3 and angle 7? Okay, angle 3 and angle 7. Those are corresponding. Those are on the same side. Okay, what about angles 8 and angles 4? Those are corresponding. Same side, same position. Angle 6 and angle 2, another pair of corresponding angles. Okay, so we talked about alternate interior. We talked about alternate exterior. We talked about consecutive interior. We've talked about corresponding angles. Now, there are a couple of specific angles that I really want to focus on that we want to know, okay, that we've kind of already talked about at the beginning. We talked about this at the beginning of the set, and that is vertical angles, okay? So don't get too confused, right? We might have something that we call vertical angles, and those are angles that are right across from each other, right? So I have these lines, right? Don't get too confused, right? Okay, we have angle 1 and angle 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Our angles, our vertical angles, are the angles that are across from each other. That's angle 3 and angle 2. Those are vertical angles. Angles 1 and angles 4. Those are vertical angles. Okay, 5 and 8. 7 and 6. Now, what's important to know is that vertical angles are congruent, right? Congruent means equal. They're the definition. So if I say that the measure of angle 7 is congruent to the measure of angle 6, that means that angle 7 is equal to angle 6 by definition, right? So by saying this right here, if I were to say angle 7 was 75 degrees, that would mean that angle 6 is also 75 degrees because definition of congruency means equality. Okay, notice angle 7 75, therefore angle 6 is 75. And that's what I want you to know about vertical angles. Another set of angles that you want to be prepared that we've talked about in the past is what we call a pair of angles that form to create a line. They're adjacent, they create a line. A line is a straight angle, and that's 180 degrees. So look for your linear pairs. They're the angles that are next to each other, and they combine to equal 180 degrees. So that's all about lines. That's 3.1. Please let me know if you have any further questions. Have a good day.